Hey guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. So today's episode is turning the tables, and I'm addressing the providers that are in the audience. So today we're talking about documentation. Yes, I know, documentation. Why? Why do we have to document all of this stuff? Because as medical coders, we are never allowed to assume anything. The only way we know what is going on in the room when you are with the patient is by what you're documenting. So we look at many things. We look at their chief complaint. We look at what is your thought process of what's going on with this patient. What are the other co-conditions that are affecting their care? Are you ordering any additional workup? Are you reviewing any labs, any test results? Do you have to consult with another provider? What are you looking at as a whole picture for this patient? How are you treating them? Are you sending them for surgery? Are you prescribing them medications? Are you sending them to another specialty? What are you doing? So that we are able to give you full credit for everything that you're doing. Everything has to be documented. Now, if you're concerned about, well, am I documenting too much? Am I not documenting enough? This would be a good time to go and find who your medical coder is. And it's okay to ask lots of questions, because us medical coders, we love questions. And anything to get this dialogue going is a good thing. You want to have a really good relationship with your coder so that you can see what it is that they're looking at. And you want to make sure that the coder understands what you're documenting as well. If you have a coder that looks at documentation and says, okay, well, it's this, this, and this. Well, are you making sure that the coder understands, hey, I did this, this, and this. Did you get this, this, and this? It is okay to ask them, what are you picking up when you're seeing my documentation? It's a good time to get with them and ask them lots of questions, because we're never allowed, like I said, to assume anything. So we want to make sure that everything is documented the way that it should be. So if you have a medical coder that is looking at your documentation, one of two things is going to happen. Either they're going to code what is there, or they're going to send you a bunch of queries. If they're sending you a bunch of queries, it's because things are not clear. Whatever is going on with this patient is not definite, like clear in terms of like what we can pick up as far as diagnosis wise or procedure wise. And we want to make sure that you're getting credit for everything that you're doing. I like to talk with my providers when they first come on board, and I like to ask them, what does a typical appointment look like with you? Like, what do you do when you're with a patient? And this has opened up a lot of doors as far as like, oh yeah, well, I do this and I do this and I do this. And later when I review their documentation, I can go back and think, oh, well, they said they did this, this, and this, but it's not here. So this is a good time to, be able to say, okay, is what I'm doing matching up with what the coder is seeing? So this is why I say ask the coder questions. Now, sometimes I know some coders are very shy, and I was very shy myself in the beginning, because like I said, I didn't think that any providers were going to listen to me as far as like, what is it that I'm looking at? What am I picking up when I see their documentation? Now I know obviously that that's not the case, because I've learned a very powerful lesson from one of my doctors who I've referred to as Dr. X, because if it hadn't really been for him saying that, hey, I really want to get to know what is it that the coders are looking at, I want more communication, I would never have known. So it does take two to get into this dance of, we need to work together, because even though we're not in the room with you, we're not one of your nurses, we're not one of your CNAs, or somebody that's with you, all we know about you is from the paper, the encounter that you give us. So this is why it's very important to Make sure everything is documented. And I cannot stress that enough. The importance of doing that. And sometimes when you think that you're not getting credit for this or that, and it turns out sometimes maybe you are. It depends. You know, if the coder can see that you have everything documented, then perhaps you're getting more credit than you think you are. Again, this is where, you know, talking with your coder would really help. Okay. So sometimes one person has to make the first move as far as like who's going to talk to who first. So if your coder has not reached out to you, ask for your coder, because it's only going to benefit you in the long run to make sure that you are getting all the credit that you deserve for all the work that you're doing. Okay. And I when I talk with my coworkers, and some of them, you know, they'll say, oh, well, you know, I don't really talk with my providers. And I tell them, why not? Well, because, and they had the same thought process that I did. Oh, I don't think that they wanted to speak to me. No, you have to go to them and let them know, hey, I'm here and I'm here to help. You know, I want to find out what it is that you're doing, you know, or can you explain this to me, you know, because as I have talked about in other episodes, there are many words to describe the same thing, you know. So you want to make sure that your coder is fully understanding what you do. What is your practice? What is your specialty? So that was my thought of the day. And I talk a lot on my channel about to coders, you know, to medical coders, but of course providers can watch this, because at least this way, if you are a provider and that's watching this, you can kind of understand what goes on with medical coders and what are we doing? What are we looking for? And one of the things that I always stress is details. You know, the devil is in the details. Everything that you do, down to the last detail, when it is there, and then the coder can see it, and it's like, oh, okay, well, instead of just getting an injection, you know, you're getting credit for this other thing because you treated another condition. You know, those are some of the things that go on, or it's just any number of things, really, you know. So as I said, just make sure that you're meeting with your coder and ask lots of questions. And if you aren't sure, submit a question. I'm always open to questions all the time from providers or coders or people that are just curious about medical coding. So feel free to do that. But yes, that was my thought for today. Not really a whole lot going on with other than that. It is raining and I have a lot of errands to do. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. But yes, if you are a provider, talk to your coder. If you are a coder, talk to your providers. Because it's only going to benefit the both of you. If the right hand knows what the left hand's doing, then we got a good thing going. Okay, so be sure to like and subscribe if you are interested in the fascinating world of medical coding as told by me, Bleu the Coder. Well, I will see y'all next time. Have a good evening. Bye.